gadget I got here. And I'll tell you why, because you know what? I was warned 30 years ago that if you don't stop your drinking, you're going to get your muscles will start to leave you, probably be in your legs. And I thought old Doc Raby didn't know what he was talking about, so Paul kept right on drinking. And finally it just gradually come. So I'm just telling some of you younger people, now you got to drink a long time for this, you know. I drank 40 years, you know. But this can happen to you. So don't think you're so darn smart that it will never happen because you don't know. I don't think there's anybody else in the whole area that I know of. But I tell you, it ain't so funny. It's just kind of hard to give up, you know. I used to be pretty active all the time. I was a great dancer, and I guess I was an entertainer is what they called me. Always entertaining. See, I was the king of the ball, you know. Danced a lot, and we had a lot of fun in our first days. Like Mildred said, there's a big difference, you know, in fun and happiness. But we had a good times. But, I'll never forget, I tell you what booze makes you do. I'm going to tell you this anyway. I danced on the stage at the old Mayfair Theater in Dayton one night with two dancing girls up there. Now you can imagine me in cowboy boots and cowboy hats, drunker than a monkey. I was up there and put an arm around each one, and I'm telling you, we had a ball, and the people out there just clapped. I walked right past the cop. I guess he thought I was part of the program. Now, I tell you, these girls weren't star naked. But I got news for you. If you had a real bad cold, and you had to blow your nose in what they was wearing, you'd have a problem. Now, you know that normal people don't do those things. I was always the last one at a party. As long as there was booze there, Paul had to have the last glass, see. So I'm just warning you, this can happen, but I've accepted it, see. I've accepted a lot of things. I haven't given a lead for quite a while due to my health. I've always had this wrong and that wrong, you know. I broke a hip, and I got over that, and then I had a major surgery. Had gallbladder on one end and a obstructed bowel on the other end, and it took a pretty long incision, and I told them, God bless you, quit when you did, or they'd have made a hen out of me. You know. So I just, you know, and so then I got to whittling on these fingers, you know, and they just quit in time, or I wouldn't be able to, you know what, and that would have been awfully embarrassing. So, but I'm here today, see. Now, I drank before meetings, during meetings, and after meetings. You know, Aubrey, I sat beside him one time at St. Mary's, and he always kind of kept looking like this, you know. He said he'd about get drunk sat inside of me. And went with Ernie and Leah to Detmer one night, and when I got out of the car, you know how you do, kind of leaned over, and boy, that about scared me. I don't know, do I need this thing? Anyway, boop, boop, they go, you know, testing. Well, anyway, when I got out of the car, Ernie seen I had a half pint in my pocket. Well, when the lead was about halfway over, Paul had to go to the restroom and get him a snort, see? So I drank before meetings, after meetings, and during meetings, but they all said they had to be sure that I would make it because I always come back. And that's another thing I want to tell all you people. I don't care how long you've been sober. If you go out, I don't care whether they call it slips or what it is, but anyway, you go out and take a drink, for heaven's sake, come back. We don't think any less of you if you know, a lot of them say I would be ashamed to walk down there, but it never bothered me a bit. They'd always say, well, here comes Paul. How long it lasts, I don't know, but Longest sobriety I had in that whole length of time was 9 months. And that's when my daughter Donna got married, and you know how we are, I kind of slipped up to the bar. You know, these weddings nowadays, they don't set that old fifth on the table no more. Them old booze hounds, they get that and they drop it and waste it, and so they just serve you. They had gin in 7-Up, you know, that looks pretty clear. So I slipped up to the bar and had a few of them, and, you know, I could start feeling this little, you know, these guys say, oh, they brag how much they can drink and don't feel it. Well, I got news for you. Any of us in here now, I tell you what, you take a couple of doubles and I'll give you about 20 seconds and you can already feel it. You know what I mean? And so I sat down at the table and I saw a glass of beer sitting, you know, 3 feet from me. Kind of eyed that a little bit, and, well, I had 2 daughters. Boy, they swooped down on me like vultures, I'm telling you. They just... But now I could have just counted, you know, if I wouldn't have that one night, I could have counted another year, you might say, of sobriety, but that don't mean anything. I don't... I'm sober today, so time don't mean anything, see, but... we got married, and our first... our oldest daughter, naturally, the first one would be the oldest one, wouldn't it? Anyway, she was born in Sydney Hospital. And I was always a great, you know, they didn't need dads in there at them time. Nowadays, you know, the dad comes in and watches the birth. Well, they didn't want dad around there. Hell, they had, get out of here, we don't need you. So I went and read the Zane Grey book. I always liked horses, and, you know, I read one of them books, and I only got it about 3/4 read when they come in and say, well, congratulations, you have a healthy baby daughter, see. Well, I didn't get the book read, so I said I'd have to come back there once so I could finish the book. Well, we got started, and I'm telling you, they just come like popcorn, you know. We had 11 kids in 15 years. Now, by God, you know, it takes so long to make them. You can't hurry things one at a time. And but when we were married 50 years, we had a picture taken. Now, this was all our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and we had 54 of them on that picture. And boy, oh boy, you know, that was quite a job to even get them little shavers to set quiet, you know. But so I just started thinking, you know, if Mom and I was horses and had that many, and every one of them is healthy, there ain't a pimple on them, I ain't kidding you, that's rare, and we're thankful for that. But if we'd been a pair of horses, we'd be worth $1 million, wouldn't we? Yeah, we really got something. I'm not kidding you, I'm proud of them. They're good kids, all healthy, all the great-grandchildren, all you know, usually get somebody's got a little problem of some kind, but we're grateful for that. And so my drinking, like I said, we had a lot of fun, but it just gradually, you all went through that, you know, finally it gets to be, and I often think, well, I don't know how much I'd drink if I'd had plenty of money. I had a problem. I never had enough money, see? And I had to I worked hard to get enough money to drink. And sometimes I didn't feel like going. I had to go to work to get money to drink, you know. But the later years I got fired and, a mess. I got into shape, you know, I was in Batesville 4 times, and I'd have to spend the first week in a wheelchair because I couldn't walk. And you people probably remember my first year of sobriety when I'd say the Lord's Prayer, you know. I'd always back up against a wall or something, and I'd start bobbing up and down, you know. Well, that's what you get with this leg weakness, you know, so. But anyway, I have no excuse for drinking. Now some of them say they were sexually abused and Mom and Dad were alcoholics and all that. No, I have no excuse at all. I just got to going, and I drank too, easiest way, I drank too much, too long, too often. That's the simplest way to say it, see. So finally it got to where the fun was over, you know. You don't really enjoy yourself. And, I know I had different times. I guess I have to say for Bill here, some of you, a lot of you never heard me before, but I do have to tell you a few instances. You know, my last two-wheel bicycle ride, that was something. My son, Ralph, he's pretty tall. He's about 6'1", and at that time he had them old high-seated 12-speed bicycles. Well, I was uptown at Wince. My wife worked there, and this was late at night. You know, they closed at 1 o'clock. And I got on that bicycle, and I down the street and around the corner and laid right there at a little restaurant bar place that's called Bolly's. I guess I turned a little too short, and I hit, there was an opening in that curb there. I went back later on. I hit that, and it's a wonder that I didn't have a fractured skull. It's just a miracle. I hit so hard. Oh, my glasses, they were just all cockeyed, you know, and my ear burnt. It just felt like it was on fire. I got up, and first thing you do is look around. Anybody see me? You know, not a soul around. So I got up, and I got hold of that old bicycle. And now, Paul, you got a problem. You're too drunk to ride, and you're too drunk to walk. So I was smart enough, though. I always was pretty level-headed. I had to be awful drunk that I couldn't think. I thought, now, if I walk with this bicycle pretty straight and it falls over the other way, I would fall over it. Handlebar could hit me in the chest or something, you know, so I leaned way over this way. Now, have you ever tried to walk with a two-wheel bicycle leaning way over? I don't know, it don't work right, but anyway, when I got home, I laid that baby down on the ground and went to bed. That's my last bicycle ride. And now I got a three-wheeler, but I don't know. They pedal so hard, and I should do more exercising, but you know, it's real easy to get lazy if you're all by yourself. If you had somebody to exercise with, I guess, I don't know. And then, you know, the time that my wife gave me some money one time to buy a battery for the car, see. And I got to thinking, well, I ain't going to buy a battery. I just went up to the Ohio station, and at that time you get them charged for $1. And she give me $20, I believe. You know, we're talking about 35 years ago. You can buy a pretty good battery for $20. So I give that $1 to charge the battery and stuck the rest in my pocket. See, I had something to drink. Well, she went by herself that day to Troy's. I don't know what it was for her anymore. Anyway, she had a flat tire. And she got out, and the guy come along and changed the tire for her. And he left, and she said, or he was still there, and she said, one of the kids said, "Dad, can we play the radio?" "Sure, go ahead, we got a new battery." So he turned the radio on, you know, and that guy went to leave, and the car wouldn't start. Well, she said, "That's funny, it's got a new battery in here." He lifted the hood and looked in there and said, "Lady, you ain't got no new battery in there." And oh, Lordy, you know, didn't go over too good, see. And then one time we went, we had an Oldsmobile, and they hold about, I don't know, probably 18, 20 gallons of gas, but she gave me money to fill the gas tank. Well, we done the same thing. We went down there to Grillo Christmas, and it was cold and nasty, but for some reason or other, the kids come home with somebody else, but anyway, it was her and I, about 11:30 at night, cold and blustery. Just got around the corner there at the IGA, was just 5 blocks from our house. Now, anybody ever drove an Oldsmobile, especially one of them older ones, when they start to puke, they're done. That was it. It just stopped right there. She jumped out of that thing, grabbed her purse, slammed the door, and took off. And, hey, wait a minute. Oh, she just didn't pay no attention. There I was. I got out of that car. I was too damn drunk to drive and too drunk to walk. And, well, I couldn't go. There wasn't no gas in the thing. The further I walked, the madder I got, and it wasn't too bad till I got home, looked in the bedroom, and by God, there she was laying just sound asleep, just like a squirrel would lay in a pile of leaves in a drawer. Now, that made me mad, see, but those are just things we laugh at now. The family laughs at all those stunts I pulled, you know. But I found I was so, there was never any change on our house. Not a penny. Because Paul was looking for it. See, at that time, a pint of Kessler's cost 93 cents. And sometimes I'd like it a couple pennies, see, so I'd pick 'em up, you know. I got 'em from Ralph off of his desk one day. I never took more than I needed. When I got up there one day, and he had a note on there, "Dad, will you please stop taking my money?" Well, you know, so I did, but I took enough that morning yet, see. But anyway, I happened to lift up the mattress, and lo and behold, can you imagine the look on my face? There was $127 under there. Whew, man, I picked that up. Now, I just took a 10 of it, you know, and that would buy a fifth at that time. And between that and a little conniving, it would get me through the day. And I was working for the fellow that had run the carry-out and always charged me my drinks there. And I was doing a job for him, and I thought, now, I'll have that. He'll pay me, because he owed me more than I owed him. And when I get home, then I'll put that money back. You know what? I missed that by one day. Rita lifted up that mattress, and the money was gone. But I paid her back right away, you know. So, but that's the things you have to do now. Can you imagine a guy this cold weather, and when you got to have it, which some of them have, you got to have $300-400 every day, and you'd be living in Dayton, and you got to rob enough people to make that every day. You talk about a tough job. Wouldn't that be something? You know, but people do that, see. So I am grateful. I don't know, sometimes Vic will have to laugh at this. I told him once a couple of years ago I had a burr up my fanny. He said to tell the doctor to ream that out while he's looking at you or something. But anyway, today is Saturday, ain't it? Yeah, Wednesday night, all day Wednesday, right? I don't know what was the matter with me. I snappy at my wife, you know what I mean, and I just couldn't. I wasn't happy, I wasn't satisfied, or this and that. And any of you think it don't work, you just try it. I really got serious, and I asked my higher power to get me over this and get me a different attitude, you know, and you know what? It happened. It works. It happened. And any of you think it don't work, you just try it. It does work. Now, I'm not a fanatic on, you know, I don't pray for everything all day long. Some people, they pray, you know. I made a statement here a couple of weeks ago at the Minster meeting where maybe some people misunderstood me. I said about praying as the last resort, but you know, some people, they pray for this and they pray for that and they pray and they forget to thank. I always think, boy, now Thursday, Thanksgiving, wasn't that something? I'll bet you there's nobody in here that went to bed hungry that night. Everybody had a place to sleep, you know. So that's something to be thankful for. And I am thankful for it. It just, you know, I don't know what it'd be like. I've already laid in bed and thought on a blustery night, and how about that poor fellow in Dayton that's homeless and no place to go? Well, if they do take him in someplace, the next morning they say at 7 o'clock, out you go, see? So there you are, out in the cold again. And I used to lay there and I'd think, now what could I do, you know? And I might mention right to the left of my bed is I got the same kind of ceiling in bedrooms in this here. And Susie gave me a serenity prayer. So all I have to do is turn around, and I looked up at that, and I thought, now there ain't a darn thing I can do tonight for that fella in Dayton. If I would drive down there, wouldn't know what to do, where to go, or anything anyway. So that saved the day many a time. I look at that serenity prayer, and I just think, hey, nothing you can do tonight, Paul, and just go to sleep, you know. Like I said, I drank and drank. I tried everything else. I was going to go in the milking business one time, bought 10 Holstein heifers, and well, I'll guarantee you if Norb Deloy would have kept drinking, he'd never ended up with 100 high-priced cows like he had. I'll guarantee you that, because you'd have never got them. You know. Oh, yeah, I was going to milk them. Yeah, well, you know how you are. And I even learned... Now, you know, we had all bottled beer at that time, and those milk coolers are cold in there. And you run around in that water trying to find a bottle of beer, your arm about gets numb. Well, I was smart right away. It takes an old Alky, you know. I put that in one of them wire egg baskets. That way you pull it out, the water be going, you have your beer, see? Well, I put a can of warm milk in, get a bottle of cold beer out, and on the way back, stop next to the old corn planter and have a pint in there and maybe a drink. And then you milk an hour late, and then you get this and that, and finally everything goes kaput. So I just know that Norb Deloy would have never had it. That's just proven fact, and I know he would know it too. So I've tried everything, you know. It's just exactly 50 years ago this August was that I went in the carpenter trade. So I worked it all, big construction, little, you know, everything. And once I got to drinking, like I say, I'd get fired. They don't really fire, they just give you a little piece of paper and tell you they don't need your services. That's a kind of a polite way to say it, see? So that's what's it. And so I tried everything, and I would, you know, I was so miserable, just miserable at times that I would just, I never forget one time I laid in bed. It's hard to believe it, but 3 days, my heart pounded that you would have seen this go like this, see? I couldn't lay on my back, couldn't lay on either side. I was mad at everything. And so I got up and managed to get out of bed, and I drove out to the Speedway. Now, if you familiar with the New Bremen Speedway, they got a big driveway clear around it there. At the road, there's 2 gates. I started walking around that, and I had parked about halfway up to the racetrack. And the more I walked, that heart was pounding. The madder I got, I was mad at God. I wasn't afraid if I'd die why he didn't take me. I bawled him out, you know. And you know what? I guess I got about 50 feet from my car, and it stopped. And my heart was just as normal as now. And, boy, I felt pretty good, you know, because I had told God, now you get me over this. How many of you used that dozens of times? You get me over this one, and I'll never go on another one. Well, that didn't last long, a couple of days, you know. I got to feeling pretty good and thought, I don't need you anymore, so I went out and drank, see? But it was just a turmoil, the whole thing. And finally now that, when my first year, I would say I went to 400 meetings. Because I went to every night. I think I missed 1 or 2 nights. But the first year, I went every night and always twice on Sunday. See, Lima had 2 meetings. And see, that all started. My last time I was in St. Mary's Hospital, and this was in the morning, and I really got serious. Now, I'm not kidding you. So I took my second and third step, and I took it faithfully. And I asked God to help me do something about this drinking. We had to do something, see? And I went home about 3 o'clock that afternoon, and else whenever I would get out of a rehabilitation center, I was in them 15 times, if that tells you anything, and I would say, well, I had enough. I didn't go to the meeting for a couple of nights. I had enough AA. I didn't want to get burnt out, see? But that night I did go, and I imagine we went about, a month or so, and my wife says, now, Paul, I can't stand this anymore. You're going to have to go alone. So I did. I started out, and I don't know how long, but then all at once, Vic come in, Carl come in, Judy came in, Heitkamp, what was his name? Don't make any difference now. Jerry, he came in. There was a fellow by the name of Doby. He came in, and so we all shared writing, see? And we took off. We just went to meetings. We didn't care where it was. Didn't make any difference. We went to Lyman, to Bell Fountain, to Indian Lake, to Union City, to Greenville, Salina, every place. Never missed a night. Now, I don't know whether that kept me sober, whether that done it or not, but I'm sober today, see? And that's the main thing. I'm reasonably happy, you know. I got my bad days too, but I truthfully believe that if I just ask for help, you know, every morning I ask for two things especially. When I walk out of the house, I still work in the shop a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours in the afternoon. And one of the things I always ask God to do is just give me good judgment, you know. Give me a little patience and don't jump at conclusions, and help me make my own decisions, you know, and it seems to work. And sometimes if I get all frustrated and can't even add 2 and 2, just lay it down, quit. That's the only thing you can do, see? But that's about all I ask for. I don't, some people, they pray and they pray and they pray, and you know, I've always said, you know what Father Martin says, if you want to move a mountain, get a shovel. And that's about right, too, see? If you want to move a mountain, get a shovel. And if you want the weeds out of your garden, get your hoe, because it ain't going to do you any good to pray for that. He just ain't going to take care of the weeds. And I always tell them, if you got a car makes 20 miles to the gallon, and you only got half a gallon of gas, and you got 30 miles to go, you better get some gas or do something, because God ain't going to get you there, I'll tell you that right now. And you ain't going to pay your light bills either, and you ain't going to pay your rent. You better get your fanny out and do something, see? And like Millard said, I got certain beliefs, you know. I believe that... Oh, that's all right. Let her run. I'm used to that. I believe that, for one thing, I always tell people that, and I try to keep your priorities straight, you know. That's very important. We alcoholics, we can't afford to get, like, now these credit cards. My God, there's people that's... one woman had $32,000 on her credit card, but she had it figured out now. I can get them paid for. Now, you know that she better pay more than that minimum. She won't get it paid for in 100 years. And all that kind of stuff we alcoholics can't afford because it might make us drink, you know. That's just... I know a good friend of ours. She got a divorce, and I think she either got $18,000 or $20,000 for a settlement. You know what she done? Went out and bought an $18,000 new car. Now she ain't got enough money to put gas in the darn thing. Yeah. And one woman paid $1,000 for cooking utensils and didn't have nothing to put in them, see? Boy, that kind of stuff makes you drunk. I'm telling you, stay away from that. You know what I mean? It just don't work. So I claim that anything that makes you a better person, a better wife, husband, citizen, anything you want to call it, has something to do with AA. Because, you know, we honkswoggled long enough. We tried everything in the books. We robbed, we lied, we done everything, and it's time now that we straighten up and set an example. Of course, now you got to be a little careful, too. You know, I always say, if they don't, nobody knows your name or your telephone number or anything, how are they going to call you if they need help? Well, that part's all right. But you also, we got to be careful that you don't brag to everybody, you know, what a saint you are in AA, and then all at once you go out and get drunk or somebody, and the first thing they'll say, well, my God, if that's what AA does, I don't want no part of it, see? So we got to be a little careful with that. And outside of that, I'm real contented, really, and my wife couldn't come today. We got a daughter from Michigan home, and she didn't ask me to come, and I didn't ask her, because then I had been honest. You know how that goes. Anyway, I'm about done blabbering. I just, like I said, I think it's very important that we as alcoholics set an example. You know, they always say you can't change people. Well, you really can't change them. But you know what? Father Martin says that too. I just think the world and all that fella. He said you can lead the horse to water. You can't make him drink, but by God, you can make him thirsty. See? So by setting an example, maybe you're somebody who wants what you got. See? And I heard the other day where Bush, he quit drinking when he was 40 years old. I guess he had quite a problem. His wife convinced him to quit. Now they're debating, should he be president or shouldn't he? Well, I think I got an old Elkie that ain't drinking would make a pretty good president, wouldn't he? Hell, you can't be any worse than we got. You know, my God, he might have something there. Honest old soul, he went through, and he went through the bill. You know what he's talking about. See, I always say we got a lot of priests and preachers and speakers and stuff, and they always talk and talk. Why, if you never went through the mill, they don't know what they're talking about. I always said they was never the right place. You know, I went to a meeting one time, and they had concerned citizens. Well, I'll never forget, went there, and there were 3 young girls there in high school, and they were not using or smoking or anything. And we had 2 preachers there and a priest, and a lot of... So they asked this one girl, well, if you kids drink, how do you get your drinks? Why, ain't no problem. Get somebody buy them a case, and sit in the car and just drive around. And that one lady said, oh my goodness, I wonder, don't they know that's illegal? And I thought, whoop-dee-doo. Illegal, jeepers creepers. Oh, I just trying, I don't know who's mentioned, old Vic, I think, before. I used to be able to, I could throw a beer bottle out of the car. Now, I don't know what I'd do with these new cars, because I'd have an advantage. They got such a much wider window. I was talking about the cars, you remember, they had that divider in there because they had a vent there in front. Well, you always kind of have to pull your hand back a little like that to get around that, see? But I used to be able to get a whole pile in front, just ting, 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 ting. I didn't pay any attention to the laws or who thought about, didn't pay any attention, cared less, Throw a burlap sack full over the bridge one time there between Bremen and home. No cars coming. Reached in the car, got a whole burlap sack full. Throw it over. I suppose the good rain went to St. Mary's. I don't know. But I don't pay any attention at that time. And now, you know what? I don't even throw a chewing gum wrapper out of the car. Just, you'd notice it too if you look in my car, because I throw it all on the floor. But at least I'm very conscientious about that, but that time didn't mean nothing to me, you know. So the kids talk too about how much they drink. There just is no way they drink as much as we did. There ain't no way they can get a hold of it in any way. Oh my God, used to go to a dance. Why, you'd have them lined up. At Lynn House, they had it two before there. Why, you'd just reach 3 tables long and be sitting there. All them places. If you were the last one after everybody left, there wasn't even room on the tables to hardly set another bottle. You know, nobody ever took their bottles along back up when they got one. They just go get them. And I don't see how they could drink that much, because, you know, when you drink beer all night and the dance quits, you still got to go to Ernie's place. You know, Ernie had that place in Newport. And drink a couple of them fish bowls. Well, now they hold 2 bottles of beer. And you was already so full of beer that you burped and bounced and foamed and beer. And just, by God, you still didn't have brains enough. You had to have one more, you know. Now that's insanity. It's all just insanity. And if I take a drink today or tomorrow or any day after, that's insanity too. That's no doubt about it. I have no desire. This is hard to believe, but I only had once, and that's when Frank Vultures was still living, and before that barn burnt now down there, but they've tore down an old barn in Kettlersville and used that lumber to build their new barn where they was milking in. And he asked me to go look at that barn and see whether maybe we couldn't dismantle it, haul it over there and put it back up, see? Well, I was driving, I got close to Kettlersville. It's a little town 6 miles east of New Bremen. And I could taste a bottle of beer and a pack of peanuts. Just taste it. But I buzzed through and done my work, come right back home, walked in the house. I either ate a piece of cake and ice cream or something. It took the compulsion away. And as true as I'm standing here, I have not had one compulsion or one desire to drink since that, see? So I do believe that the good Lord just He answered my prayers, and, you know, so I don't know, I got to tell you, all I can say is, for God's sake, anybody, just remember this old thing here. I'm not kidding you now. That could happen to you, see? And boy, it's kind of hard to accept. When you used to be real active and now you stumble around on that old stuff, but it could happen to you, see? But should any of you go out tonight or any time, for heaven's sake, just come back. Come back. Think of me if nobody else. Think of who said it. If you can't remember, think of who said it. Just don't drink. That's all that's to it, because it will not help one thing. And we know it's a fact that, somebody had, I just can't think of his name now. Vic knows him, I know, from Bellefontaine, had 28 years. Went out, and I don't know whether he ever did get over it. Seemed like the longer you were sober. I know one thing, of all the times that I did stop drinking for a while, and I would start again, you drink just as fast as you can, and all you can get a hold of it till you get your alcohol to the same level you was used to. And that same way of smoking cigarettes. I didn't smoke for a couple of months, and I drove from Pickaway to Greenville, opened the glove compartment, found a pack of cigarettes, smoked one, and it tasted so bad, it tasted awful. But you know, I'm an alcoholic. I threw that thing away, and I didn't go 5 miles, and I lit another, and that was a little better. Lit another, and that was a little better. And I was going to races, and I just kept puffing until I had my nicotine level to what I was used to. And that's the same way you're going to be with your drinking. So I just want to thank all of you for having a nice crowd here today. I want to congratulate the token people. We'll see that Bob gets his. Bob's been with us, how many years now, Bob? 12? So, I built a clock for my tokens. I don't know, Vic's seen it. Vigo was about 7 foot tall. Kind of a grandfather's clock. I made a token around for the hands, for the time. And instead of where a pendulum is in there, I just got a solid board, but I got them going down. I got, a good, I'd say that far to get to the bottom. And I hope I can make that. I don't know how many inches a token takes. It don't make any difference. But anyway, thank you, and I'm, glad to be here, and God bless all of you, and what more can I say? I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.